The crime measures are working. Prime Minister Andrew Holness touted success with police data showing all major crimes are down. Good evening and welcome to Primetime News on air and online at onespotmedia.com. I'm Archibald Gordon.
And I'm Janella Precious. Also this evening, you'll lose the Prime Minister's warning to those speculating on the dollar.
Halt the slide. The PNP calls for action to safeguard the dollar.
Still waiting. Vendors in Brownstown Market call for help to rebuild.
Flowing again. Water returns to pipes in one St. Thomas community.
And in business news, another record. The dollar slides to a new all-time low.
There's also sports commentary and weather in this newscast, but before the break, the feedback question.
Tonight we're asking, what is your reaction to businessman Richard Branson taking off the Prime Minister's tie and jacket at an official function last week?
I can't wait to hear the commentary or comments online. Facebook.com/Television Jamaica and tweet at Television Jam.
Please stay with us. The Primetime News back returns after this break.
Welcome back to Primetime News.
And a special welcome once again to our viewers on onespotmedia.com.
Up first this evening, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says despite criticisms, the measures put in place to address the country's crime problems are working.
This as police records show murder, shooting and rape are down in double digits since the start of the year.
Mr. Holness used these statistics to tell party supporters at a political rally in Portmore St. Catherine on Sunday night that the results prove the crime plan is bearing fruit.
TVJ's Dashan Hendricks has this Primetime News report.
You have heard a lot said about crime and violence in the country.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness addressing Jamaica Labour Party JLP supporters in Portmore St. Catherine on Sunday night. The occasion was presenting his party's candidate, Robert Miller, to party faithfuls as the man to wrestle control of the St. Catherine southeastern seat from the grip of the People's National Party, PNP. But in that rally, the country's murder rate a talking point. The Prime Minister pointing out that despite criticisms, the crime measures put in place are working.
So all you hear them are run up their mouth and attack. This government has sat down and calculated its response. And every response we have given have yielded success.
Figures released by the police support his point. 797 murders from January 1 to August 11 show a near 17% decline when compared to the same period a year ago when 958 people were killed. Other major crimes such as shootings and rapes are down as well, both declining by 15% in the same period. The Prime Minister indicated the results justified the approach he has taken to crime fighting.
This government don't do knee-jerk. This government is not going to be pulled by every cry and every criticism and every bad mouthing. This government is going to take its time, analyze the problem, study the facts, and come up with long-term institutionalized solutions that will bring the prosperity that you deserve.
Given the success, Mr. Holness was sounding his trumpet.
One thing you can rest assured of, my Jamaican family, is that you don't have a fly-by-night Prime Minister.
Dashan Hendricks, TVJ News.
Now 27 persons have been arrested in Bogue Hill, St. James, as the security forces continue operations under the state of emergency. A wanted man and 2 other persons were charged after they reportedly found with lottery scamming paraphernalia. The wanted man has been identified as Sean Headley, otherwise called Tall Man. He was wanted for rape. The other 2 men are 22-year-old Dennis Brown, otherwise called Bobby, and 29-year-old Arain Smith, otherwise called Bond. A release from the Corporate Communications Unit of the Jamaica Constabulary Force today says 20 abandoned premises were searched. More than 2,000 papers containing names and addresses, telephone numbers of persons residing overseas were seized. When the dollar starts gaining value again, we have more from Dashan Hendricks.
The issue of the sliding dollar dominating talk among ordinary Jamaicans has forced the Bank of Jamaica to make the rounds in the media recently to assure the nation not to worry. On Sunday, Prime Minister Andrew Holness at a political rally made a reference to the sliding dollar.
Now I know you are concerned like with everything pointing in the right direction, we still see the price of the US dollar rising. It tells us that there is some irrational behavior in the market.
Like his finance minister, Mr. Holness puts the recent slide of the dollar's value, that is its cost, moving from $130 to $136 in 1 month, down to the action of speculators. He says some people want the government to spend money from the reserves to prop up the dollar, but he points out that has been done over many years and nothing has changed. He says what his government will do is to continue to take decisions that will make the economy stronger. For the speculators who are pushing down the value of the Jamaican dollar, the Prime Minister had a warning.
This government is putting in place a very strong economic program to ensure that all the fundamentals of the economy are going in the correct direction. And therefore the market will soon correct. And those who bet against the Jamaican dollar, well, I'm not going to say not more.
Dashan Hendricks, TVJ News.
In the meantime, the opposition has again chastised the government for what it says is a lack of proper governance, which has led to a rapid decline of the dollar. TVJ's Anthony Logg has that story.
They don't know what they are doing.
Opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips referring to the Holness-led administration and its handling of the country's affairs at a party meeting in Riversdale, St. Catherine on Sunday night. Chief among the issues, the sliding dollar. Currency trading closed on Monday with the US dollar selling for a record high $136.54. Dr. Phillips argues that the country is already feeling the effect of what he describes as poor governance.
There was a Minister of Finance a few months ago who said his policy is to stop the dollar from move. A new minister come in, and the Bank of Jamaica obviously is operating to allow the dollar to move. They have more than enough reserves by their own statements, and yet they are allowing the value of the dollar to run away.
The government has sought to clarify concerns, arguing that the declining dollar can be attributed to a greater demand for the US currency. But the opposition has insisted that those explanations were inadequate. Sunday night was no different.
When oil is now running at $60 or thereabouts per barrel, $60 US per barrel internationally. We were buying oil when we were in government at over $100 US a barrel, and the price of gas was cheaper under the People's National Party. They don't know what they are doing.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness has promised to pay close attention to the currency depreciation while strengthening the economy. But Dr. Phillips raises concerns about when the dollar will stabilize.
Is there a policy that the government has? Can the Prime Minister tell us? Or is it that each minister have his own policy? If the previous minister was saying the dollar must stabilize, and the current minister is saying the dollar must go, what is the policy of the government?
Anthony Logg, TVJ News.
In the meantime, Dr. Phillips also took issue with the time it's taking the government to find a replacement minister to fill energy, science and technology portfolio.
2 weeks to the day. Can't appoint another minister. Him have 4 ministers in a Jamaica house alone and about 20 portfolio. Him have people in the House of Representatives and him have people in the Senate. And he's saying to the country that not one of them in his mind is an obvious choice. Then if him have no people can run the country, him shouldn't run it, lock it down, close it up, and make us come in with a good government that can run the country.
Dr. Andrew Wheatley was stripped of the energy portfolio following reports of corruption at Petrojam. Weeks later, Dr. Wheatley tendered his resignation as Minister of Science and Technology. The Prime Minister has since said he's meeting with the various boards of the ministry Dr. Wheatley once oversaw and will appoint a minister shortly after. Now, meanwhile, Mr. Holness has reiterated the now annual warning that students should not be turned away from school because they cannot afford fees.
No child must be turned away from school because they cannot afford the school fee. We have made the provisions in the schools, and I'm certain, Minister of Education, that our payments would be on target, so that all the schools now are in a far better position today than they were 5 years ago.
The Prime Minister reminded persons that the tuition-free policy does not mean parents should withhold financial support from schools.
We have always had a culture where parents support their schools through the PTA. And I ask you, encourage you, recommend to you that you continue to support the PTA and the fees of the school. But if you cannot pay it and they send home your child, they have breached the policy and regulations of the government of Jamaica. Bring it to my attention and I will take action.
Our top story this evening, Prime Minister Andrew Holness says despite the criticisms, crime measures are working. As the police report, murders are down 70% since the start of the year. Still ahead, still waiting, vendors in Brownstown Market call for help to rebuild. And in business news, the dollar slides to a new low. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Continuing the news, a battle of the lawyers. The PNP's Oswest Senior Smith officially presented as the opposition candidate to go up against the JLP's Leslie Campbell in Catherine Northeastern constituency. At a meeting Sunday night, he declared he's the candidate to correct what he termed decades of failure from the JLP in the constituency. TVJ's Krista Campbell reports.
Northeast St. Catherine will be one of those seats forming the next government of the People's National.
An opposition in waiting, hoping to form the next government, and attorney Oswest Senior Smith officially presented as the man to win back the St. Catherine Northeastern seat for the People's National Party, PNP. Party officials tackling the JLP for unmet promises. The PNP candidate took on Finance Minister Nigel Clark over the devaluing dollar and other economic policies.
It is the banks who are profiting from the sale of foreign exchange. We know that there are certain big business interests who will profit from the devaluation of the dollar, but the masses, the everyday people who have to go to supermarket, who have to send their children to school, the taxi drivers, my gas bill is $15,000 now to fill my vehicle.
At a PNP meeting on Sunday, Mr. Smith made his own promise to tackle pressing needs he says the JLP has failed to meet in St. Catherine Northeastern over the years. Cell phone service, internet connection, markets for farmers, roads and utilities.
What kind of self-respecting member of parliament? What kind of self-respecting JLP administration? After you have had this constituency for 21 unbroken years, the constituents showing its support behind you, and you have betrayed them by not providing such a basic amenity like water. Senior Smith will be ensuring that you have water in this constituency.
Sitting MP Leslie Campbell has already started work and has made his own promise to address the challenges. But under the conviction that he's the best man for the job, the PNP candidate has urged supporters to work intensely with him to get persons enumerated to vote PNP when general elections are called. Krista Campbell, TVJ News.
There have been mixed reactions following an incident last week in which billionaire businessman Richard Branson took off Prime Minister Andrew Holness's tie and assisted in taking off his jacket on stage. While some say it was done in jest, others argue it was distasteful and inappropriate. More in this report.
It seemed like a light-hearted moment, Richard Branson taking off the Prime Minister's jacket and tie, suggesting he was overdressed. Mr. Branson even tweeting the moment. But his action has received mixed reactions.
This could not have taken place with any other heads of government in other respectful state. I don't see Putin, you getting near to Putin, Obama, or Prime Minister of England.
Another political analyst, Nadine Spence, approving.
It was a classic sign, a British man telling a Jamaican man, the clothes that my people imposed on you might no longer be relevant for you. I think what for me is most striking in that is that we never thought of doing that for ourselves.
For her, as a country, Jamaica is still stuck in what she describes as colonial trappings.
And I think that we haven't revisited if we need to dress like that in our country, in our culture, in our climate, in this new reality that we now have to live in post-1962.
But Dr. Ashley argues Branson's action was distasteful.
I'm not worried about the Prime Minister, what he wants to do in private. But on public mass media, it is in very poor taste to have a white foreign businessman helping to undress a Prime Minister in a public event.
He maintains it was either a public relations stunt or something planned.
Because otherwise, it is very serious. Suppose Sir Richard did not like that the Prime Minister wore long pants and wanted him in shorts.
Giovanni Dennis, TVJ News.
Vendors in the Brownstown Market in St. Ann are calling for the municipal corporation to fulfill a promise to help them rebuild after a fire destroyed their goods 2 years ago. But the municipal corporation says it does not know what they're talking about. TVJ Shamela Pullen reports.
May 3, 2016, a day that will forever be etched in the minds of vendors who sell at the Brownstown Market in St. Ann. On that day, millions of dollars in goods went up in flames. This is a section of the Brownstown Market where fire broke out some 2 years ago. Over 30 vendors used to occupy this space. Today, only 9 are still here. The vendors say the St. Ann Municipal Corporation promised to help them rebuild. However, they say that promise is yet to be fulfilled.
I'm fighting to survive because nobody compensates me. Nobody never come and say to me, say, how no money doing out the fire or anything. They not even say to me, say, all right, if we even give on even 5,000, which part that if we couldn't do nothing, but if we can talk to me and say even that, they might go give you.
The vendors say they can barely manage.
We are trying to find back, we borrow a loan to buy back goods. We have to pay back the loan plus market fee.
I have a little daughter and a foreign country, and it's trying to little troops going to give me I'm going to take it and start spinning.
Paris Council is very hard to us. We are a registered vendor. All they come to tell us, register, register, register.
When TVJ News contacted the municipal corporation, we were told they knew nothing about the claims from the vendors that they were promised help. Chairman of the Commercial Services Committee, Councillor Ian Isaacs, pointed out that the current administration was not in power at the time of the fire. He said the vendors' goods are not insured and advised that they take them home for safekeeping each day. According to the vendors, they will continue to wait and see if those promises will be fulfilled. Reporting from the Brownstown Market in St. Ann, I'm Shamela Pullen for TVJ News.
In a primetime news follow-up now, residents in East Albion St. Thomas now have water in their pipes. On Friday, TVJ News aired the story of the residents' plea for the precious commodity as a result of a malfunctioning pump. The National Water Commission responded, saying the problem would have been fixed on the weekend. It has done as promised. The residents are happy.
Yeah, pump is up and working right now.
Over 1 week, toilet can't flush. Food can't cook, nobody can bathe because of no water. And last night we get the water at 12 o'clock last night. So we are very grateful and we are thanking Water Commission.
In this week's edition of A Ray of Hope, why wait till death to scatter roses?
Grandpa, Daddy. Ray of Hope, brought to you by Quartz.
Get the mattress you deserve today at Quartz and stay in bed as long as you'd like. Offers end August 31. Quartz, bringing value home. Conditions apply.
Some call him Grandpa, Daddy, Uncle, or simply just Mas Will. But his given name is Willoughby George Smith. And here in Maidstone, Manchester, family members across several generations, older friends and well-wishers gathered to celebrate his 100th birthday. Born in July 1918, his celebrants did not want to scatter roses after he was gone.
I love him, and I love him to my heart.
May God bless Uncle Will. A man who man see a city and raise his children.
You're not afraid to hold a conversation with him.
He's a very jokey person.
Happy birthday, Uncle Willoughby, and I hope you live to see many, many more.
This 5-story cake symbolizes the many generations under his belt. A father of 14, Mas Will says he's grateful 13 of them are still alive and well.
I'm feeling happy and grateful to know that all of them, it's good as all of them around me.
And when it came to tributes, his 13 children shared their fondest memories and lessons learned.
He is a good father, a loving one, a good carpenter.
He was a very stern man. He says what he means. He calls a spade a spade.
He said, don't quarrel with nobody for money. No matter how much you need it. If they want to pay you back, they will. And the day when they give it back to you, that's the day you need it.
As long as you have manners and respect to people, you will never go to bed without dinner. Papa, thank you for those words.
Based on observation from Papa, know the difference between the men and the boys, the right and the wrong.
I'll have learned a lot from him, and it will keep on with me.
Mental faculties still intact. We asked the centurion what's the recipe to his longevity.
Porridge man. Me a porridge man. Cause every day I drink porridge. Me making me point of duty if you always go lie down get a rest.
With A Ray of Hope, I'm Kian Morgan. Ray of Hope, brought to you by Quartz.
Get the mattress you deserve today at Quartz and stay in bed as long as you'd like. Offers end August 31. Quartz, bringing value home. Conditions apply.
Time now for the responses from our viewers from our friends on Facebook and Twitter. And Archie, is that the smart one, Archie?
Thank you, Janella. Here's a question this evening. We're asking, what is your reaction to businessman Richard Branson taking off the Prime Minister's tie and jacket at an official function last week? A couple of quick comments. Here's the first. I liked it. Even the PM needs to loosen up and feel comfy sometimes. Too much jacket and tie in this hot weather. Second comment, my reaction was anger. How dare he take off the PM's jacket in such a hot time? Shake my head. There's so many other questions to ask as well. Third comment here. It was obviously a light-hearted moment, says this person. However, I personally didn't like the optics of it at all. Nothing too serious though. And our final comment is here is, I don't care. Keep your comments coming on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/TelevisionJamaica and your tweet.